Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel Code with Hafiz. My name is Hafizullah Masoudi and this is our fourth video of the tutorial on how to make a multi-authentication system in Laravel framework. As you guys remember, in our last video we added the AdminLTE template to our project and made some minor changes. Now first let's log in, and after that I will tell you guys that what we will do next. So I already have opened our multi-authentication system in the browser. So let's click on login, and we want to log in as administrator, and the password should be password. So we added our logout also, and the template is also working fine. So guys, first of all, the thing that we need to do in this video is to let's customize our sidebar, because there's too much traffic in our sidebar for now, and we don't need all of these things in our sidebar. So open your project in text editor, and in here go to resources, views, admin, layouts, and admin blade. Well, we don't need this previous code anymore, so let's remove this. And in here, as you can see, there is a lot of code in here that we don't even need. So let's customize from the top. This is brand logo, leave it. This is dashboard 3, leave it too. And from here we don't want all of these in our template or sidebar. So first let's minimize them, and now let's select all of these and remove them. Now minimize these also. Yeah, we don't need this too. So let's check how it looks like. So if I refresh, yeah, this is the thing that we need. But guys, there's a minor issue in our sidebar. If you look at the bottom of this sidebar, you can see there's a scroll bar that we don't need, and it looks some kind of ugly. So we have to remove it or hide it. So for that, let's go to our project and find the sidebar class. Okay, this is our whole sidebar. So what we can do with this class is to let's first go to our SAS folder, then our app.scss, and in here let's import a file by the name of admin.scss, and let's create this file, new file, admin.scss, and now we want to target that class. So dot sidebar. And one thing guys, don't forget to run your yarn watch, because your styles won't work. So open a command prompt, and inside command prompt let's first navigate to our project folder, cd ./vamp64/www/multi-auth, and in here yarn run watch. So that's all we need for our command prompt. Now for the sidebar, we want to say overflow -x heading, and let's check our command prompt to be sure all the codes are compiled. Yeah, they are compiled now. Now if we check our template, it didn't work. So let's see what's wrong. Let's go back to our code, and instead of the sidebar, let's select this class to check if this one works. So instead of sidebar, let's paste this one. And now if we go back to our browser and refresh, or hot refresh, yeah, it's still not working. Let's get back to our code. Let's add exclamation mark important. Now let's check our browser if it works. Hot shift, or this time let's select this class again instead of sidebar and refresh our browser again. Yeah, now it's gone. So guys, this looks nice now. Now I think our template design is final. We don't need to customize it anymore. So the first thing now we want to do is start our management by the admin. So first of all, admin should be able to create users, update users, view their details, or delete them. So let's head back to our code, and this admin blade, and this is our sidebar. First of all, let's comment this image because we don't want it, and in here we want to say multi auth. And after that, in here we want to echo the user name. Let's first comment this image because we don't need it, and in here let's say double curly brackets, and inside it we want to say auth colon user because we want to get the name of the user which is logged in at the moment. So arrow name, and if we save it and go back to our browser, refresh, as you can see it is now administrator because we are logged in as administrator. So head back to your code, and now the first thing for dashboard, let's declare a route. We already have a route for admin dashboard, so we can say route, and if I open routes folder and web.php, this is the route that we need, admin dashboard. So copy it, paste it here, and after that in here we want to say, oh guys, this is actually the menu item. We don't want to give it a route. So what we can do here is let's copy this li and paste it outside this one. Let's indent it a little bit, save it. Now if I go and refresh, yeah, that's what I need. So let's rename it as dashboard, and in href we want to cut this route from here and paste it there. And let's also remove this active link because we don't want it to be active. Yeah, that's good. Now after that, what I want is to say in here manage, and after manage let's also remove this active from here, and this menu open, or we should leave it because of we don't forget these classes, so leave it for now. Let's edit this one, and in here we can say manage users. Let's give it a route users or user index. Now let's create this route. So I will copy it and go to web.php, and in here after our admin dashboard route we can say route colon get and manage. After manage we want to manage users, so manage user index. Now comma, and this goes to admin controller at user index method, and the name is user index also. So guys, now let's go to this admin controller and create this user index method. So what we can do is go to app, http controllers and admin controller. Now after this dashboard method we can say public function user index and our curly brackets. Now we want to grab all the users from the database, so for that we can say users equals to our user model column. We want to order them, so for that we can say order by, and we want to order them by their IDs, so we can say ID comma, and they should be descending or disk. Now after that we want to get all, but we also want to paginate them. So in here what we can do is say paginate and our brackets, and now we want to limit the pagination or rows in each page, and I want for example 10. Now after grabbing all the users, and one thing guys, that don't forget to use your user at the above of your controller. So in here we can say use app backslash user model, from which I mean app user model. So now we can return our view, return view, and the view should be inside admin folder dot manage folder dot user folder dot index and semicolon. Now after that we also want to pass all the users, so for that we can say comma compact and our quotes. Now we can say users. Now guys, let's go and create these all folders and this index file inside admin folder. So if I minimize everything and go to resources, views, admin, and in here let's create a new folder called manage, and inside here let's create a folder called user. Let's also create a folder for role, and let's also create a folder for permission, because we are already doing this, so let's create for them too. Now inside this user folder let's create a new file and say index.blade.php. Now in here guys, first let's extend our main blade. So for that we can say extends admin.layouts.admin, and we want our content section, so for that we can say add section quotes content, and we want to end our section. Now inside of our section let's first see how it looks like. If I refresh and click on this manage users, yeah, it's empty. So first of all let's put a row, and let's also give it a class of justify content center, and inside this row let's say we want a call md of 10, and inside here I want to say dot card, and our card should have card header. Inside here let's say h5 should be manage users, and after our card header let's say card dash body, and in here let's say hello for now and check how it looks like, and this is fine. Or guys, let's remove the header from the card. So let's get back to our code and remove this header from here and bring it outside the card. So in here what I can do is declare another row, and inside the row let's first say co dash md dash 3 for example. Now inside here let's say h5 and say manage users. Now if I check the browser, yeah, that looks good. So in our card body let's create a table, and we should give it class of table also, and inside our table let's declare a th. We should have a tr and th for numbers, another th for name, another th for email, another th for created at, and another th for actions. Now after our t head let's say t body, tr td, and let's duplicate it 5 times, and our double curly brackets. Now the first one that we want. Now before everything guys, let's also declare our for each. So for that we can say at for each users as user. We want to repeat this tr, so end our for each, and now inside our brackets in here we want to loop through the index of each user but +1, because the array starts from 0, so we want to miss the 0 and start for counting from 1. So what we can do in here, say loop arrow index +1, and if I check the browser, let's refresh. As you can see, it started from 1 2 3 4, and if I remove this +1, it will start from 0, so we don't want that 0 in here. Let's put +1 in here. After this we want to echo the username, so for that we can see $user arrow name. Let's copy this bracket, this whole bracket, and paste it here. Now we want the email. Now after email what we want is created _at, and inside this td we want 2 links. The first one that we want is for editing the users, or before editing, showing the details of users. So let's give it an icon by the class of far dash info, and let's also give this link a class of btn secondary btn dash small. Save it. Now if I check the browser, yeah, that looks cool. So after this link, let's duplicate it twice. Now the second one we want is for edit. So for the icon we can say far-edit, and for the button color we can say primary. And the third one that we want is for delete. So the button should be danger and the icon should be trash. Now let's check our browser. Yeah, this is great. So one thing more that we need in here, guys, is to add a adding button, because admin should be able to add users graphically or with GUI. So for that, what we can do is at the top, besides this h5, we can add another colmd. So in here we can say col-md dash. What we have left of 12 minus 3 is 9, because the whole screen of your computer is 12 cols or columns in Bootstrap. So if you minus 3 from 12, so 9 is leave, and we want all of them. So inside this colmd9, now I want to say link, and I should class of for user dash plus, and after the icon I want to say create new user. Let's refresh it. Yeah, now let's also give this link a class of button. So we can say class btn dash primary, and that's all. And let's also give it a margin. Well guys, I forgot something to include in our project. So let's go to our browser and open a new tab, and in here let's search for SAS margin and padding helper, and press enter, and click on this first link, and in here let's copy this code and get back to our project and app.scss. And after this admin file, we want to import another file, and we want to name it helpers.scss. Now let's create this file, new file, helpers.scss, and paste the code in here, save it, and it is not working, and that is because helpers.scss. Well, it should work just fine. Let's close this terminal and open another terminal or command prompt. Let's go to project folder, and let's first run yarn run def, see if it's working. Well guys, it was working just fine. We had to restart our terminal. So let's run yarn run watch also and minimize it. Now let's go to our index blade, and for this button, what I want in here in this class, if you check the documentation, you can see we can give it margin or padding like this. First of all, this M says margin T, for example top, and this 5 means 5 pixels, and for the padding same. So let's give it a padding. We want to give it a padding of bottom dash 10 pixels. Save it. And now if we go to the browser, refresh, it give it the padding. So we don't need padding, we want margin of bottom 10. Now it looks fine. Let's also move it to the right. So for that, what we can do in this div, we can say text dash right. Yeah, it is now in the right of our screen. So now we want to click on this and go to the user create blade. So for that, we have to declare our route in this href, and the route should be user create. Now let's create this route inside our web.php. Press enter, route colon get, and in here let's say manage slash user slash create, comma admin controller at user create, and the name should be user create. Now let's create this user create method inside our admin controller. So in here what we can do is say public function user create, and now we want to return a view, which is inside admin dot manage dot user dot create, and what we want to pass in here or into this blade is all the roles that we want to assign to users, because whenever admin tries or wants to create a user, so he should be able to assign roles to that user also. So what we can do in here is we want to grab all the roles and store it in this roles variable. So our role model colon all, and let's pass it to our blade. So compact roles, and don't forget to use your role at the top. So let's create this blade. Right click, new file, create.blade.php. Let's first copy everything from our index page. So Control A, copy and paste it here. Now in here for our card body, let's remove this table because we don't want it now. And instead of managing users, we want to say create new user, and let's remove this link. So inside our card body, let's first declare a form, and the method should be post, and we also want to declare our csrf field. So csrf underscore field. After that, we want all our fields or inputs for this form. So let's open our table or database and see what we want. So for that, we can say localhost php myadmin and go inside this multi-auth users. We need name, email and password. That's all, guys. So what we can do in here is let's first put a row, and inside this row let's declare a call md of 6, and inside here let's say dot form group, and this is a label for name, and the input should be text and the name should be name. We should give the class of form dash control. Now after the name, let's copy this form group and paste it again. This one is for email. Name should be also email and type should be email, and class should be form control. Now after email, what we want is another form group, and inside here let's say this one is for password. Name should be password, and after that let's also change this input name to password. And let's also give it a placeholder, because guys in here what I want to do is create two kind of passwords, one auto generated and one manually typed. So this one is for manually typing, so we want to give the value of manually or not value placeholder equals to manually type password. And after this form group let's create a form check, and inside form check let's create an input by the type of checkbox, and let's give it a name of auto underscore generate, and a class also which should be form dash check dash input. And that's all guys. And after this input let's also give it a label, and the label should be for auto generate, and inside the label or before that let's also give the class of form check dash label, and in here we want to say auto generate password. Let's see how it looks like. So if I go to the browser and get in here and refresh, well, it's not working. If I refresh, yeah, let's log in again. So let's say password and go to this manage users, create new user, and yeah, this looks fine. So guys, now what I want is I want this auto generated password mark by default selected, and when it is selected this input should be hidden. So for this we can use Vue.js in our project. So let's start. Let's implement Vue.js in our project. First of all, open your admin.blade, and at the bottom of all the scripts in here we want to yield, so we can say @yield, and we want to name this section scripts. Save it. Now let's go back to our create blade, and at the bottom we can say section scripts @end section. And one thing guys, you have to check, go to this JavaScript folder and this app.js, and remove this code from here, because it will run Vue.js globally, but we don't want to run Vue.js globally. We want to run Vue.js whenever we want to run it, or we need it. So comment it here and close this file. Now we have access to Vue.js. So let's first describe our script tags, and inside the script tags let's create a constant app equals to new view, and inside here let's grab everything or all the content. So for that we can say L or element colon. Now in here what we want to do is grab that ID that we want to target and manipulate with Vue.js. So if I go back to this admin blade, and we are yielding this area of admin, which is the main content. So let's give this div an ID of app. Save it, and now in here we have access to that app, comma, and the properties that we want to describe in here. equal to, first of all we want the auto generated field, auto underscore generate, which is this text box, so let's bind it with this object in here. How can we do that? We can do that by saying v dash model equals to roles selected v dash model equals auto underscore generate, and we want this to be true by default. Now if we check, refresh, yeah, you can see it is true by default, and if I change it to false, it will be not selected. Yeah, it works fine. So this works fine. After this we want to hide this input, so for that we can do an if statement. So we can say v dash if equals to, if this auto generate is false, then we want to show this. If not false, then we want to hide it. So in here we can say if auto underscore generate is false, so let's refresh. As you can see now it is hidden, and if I unselect this one, it shows again. Well, this is not working like it should, because I want to click on this text also and want to be selected. So for that, what I can do is to put this input inside of label. So let's cut this and put it before this text. Let's also press an enter here and another enter here. Let's also press an enter for this one. So now if I refresh and click on this, it still is not working. Now guys, let's remove this for from here, and now if I refresh, yeah, it's working now. As you can see, the text click is also working, so this is good. Now the other thing that we need in here is to loop through all the roles that we have in our database in here. So for that we can go to our code, and after this call md6, let's create another call md6, and inside here let's put a label for roles, we should say roles colon, and after that we want an input which should be hidden, and the name should be all the roles that we select. And guys, this input is for the roles, because what I want to do in here is to create a checkbox for every role, and the admin should be able to assign multiple roles to the user. So for those multiple roles we need this input, and we will store all the selected roles as an array inside this hidden input. So for that, what we have to do in here is to bind this input with view object. So we want to bind its value, which should be equal to roles selected. Now that's all for here, and at the bottom let's create our object. So the object name is roles selected, and it should be the type of array. Now after this input, what we want is a row, and inside our row we want a call md-6, and let's create a form check, and inside form check let's loop our for each for roles as $role, int for each at int for each, and inside our loop let's declare first a paragraph, and after that a label. We don't want this for, we want a class of form dash check dash label, and inside our label I want an input which type should be checkbox, and the class should be form dash check dash input, and the name should be rules selected, because we want to whenever select each of this checkbox, so we want to send its value to this value and store it in this array. So that's why we are giving its name rules selected. Now after that, let's bind it also. So we can say v model equals to rules selected, and after that its value. Well, for value we can say our double curly brackets, and inside here we can say row arrow id, because we want to store the id in here. Copy this one, and after our input let's create an em tag, and let's declare our brackets, and inside here paste our code. Now in here I want a display name, and if you go to our database and roles table, you can see we have this display name field, so we want to show it in there. So let's get back, and guys, that's all for our rules. And if we check now, refresh, you can see all our rules are listed successfully. Now one thing and the last thing that I want to do for this video is to put a button at the bottom of everything for our form submission. So for that, let's go to our code, and before this closing tag of form, let's put a break first, and after that let's say button and create user, and we should give it a class of btn success. Save it and refresh. Yeah, that looks fine. So guys, I think this is enough for this video, and from the next video we will probably work on how to be able to store the users into database, and after store how to edit them or view every user's detail. And for the last thing about users, we also want the functionality for deleting them. So this was all for this video guys. See you guys in the next video. Bye for now.